Let's talk Juventus. Who impressed? Who seized the opportunity? Who grabbed it with both hands and said, I need to be a starter in this team? I need to calm down. And who didn't? Who didn't perform? Who showed they don't belong part of this Juventus project? But listen, outside of Juventus, I'm actually curious to know, who is everybody's footballing GOAT? Who is your greatest of all time? For me, let's just put it out there, for me, Cristiano Ronaldo. Bruh, the way this dude has reinvented himself in three of the world's biggest of teams, and he's dominated three of the biggest leagues in the world, it's impressive. And for me, it's enough to cement him as my GOAT. I've grown up watching Ronaldo everywhere he's gone. So for me, Cristiano Ronaldo is my GOAT. I would love to hear you guys' opinion in the comments. Let's go back. Let's go back to Juventus 2, Lecce 1. Who impressed? Oh, man. I feel like a proud father, a proud uncle, maybe even a grandfather, a proud grandfather. Dusan Vlahovic. Now listen, I know what you guys are going to say. Oh my god, this dude's always talking about Dusan Vlahovic. He's always telling us Dusan Vlahovic is about to be revived. Dusan Vlahovic is hungry. Let's eat. Listen, I'm a big fan of Dusan Vlahovic, but look, once you guys think the way I think, you will understand why I feel like he had a very, very, very good game against Lecce. Now, this is a Dusan Vlahovic that is the talisman of Juventus. This is a Dusan Vlahovic that's the highest paid in the Serie A, the highest played at Juventus by a big margin. And you have to bear in mind, some players deserve the money, but when your performances begin to fade away, that money is a massive mountain on your shoulders. It drags you down. Then you've got the pressure of the fans, the media, the coach, your teammates, the pressure that you apply on yourself. Dusan Vlahovic this season, I feel like up until Thiago Motta left, every last ounce of confidence was sucked out of him. And I'll be honest with you guys, you see in football, it takes a while to build up that confidence. It takes a while to begin to feel yourself. It just takes a while to start enjoying your football. And I feel like when Igor Tudor walked in, and he came out and he spoke publicly about Dusan Vlahovic and how much he's a fan and how much he admires him, and how in the past he said he's the best striker in the Serie A. He looked at him and told him, you are integral to me. From now up until the end of the season, I need you to lock in. Now, if we were to compare Dusan Vlahovic against Genoa, in comparison to Dusan Vlahovic against Lecce, you're beginning to see the improvement. Now, if we were just to look at his numbers, Dusan Vlahovic, 2 assists, 82% pass accuracy, 7 shots on goal, 6 out of 9 duels won. Now, this is why I said it's a good performance. Because against Genoa, he lost the majority of his duels. Against Roma, he lost the majority of his duels. Against both of those teams, he wasn't having 7 shots on goal. Against both of those teams, his pass accuracy was like in the 60%. Dusan Vlahovic, you could see he's beginning to feed himself. And the funny thing is, you could see from his body language, when he got substituted, he was annoyed. Why are you annoyed? Because you're out there, you're playing your game, and you're feeling that momentum get back in your blood. You're feeling that confidence crawl up your body. You're beginning to feel yourself, and you're probably sat telling yourself, I can score in this game. I'm getting opportunities. I'm creating opportunities. I'm enjoying my game. And that's what you ask of a coach. Put players in the right system, in the right position. But on top of everything, let them go out and enjoy their football. Because if players can enjoy their football, they will deliver the goods. And I genuinely feel like Dusan Vlahovic's goal is coming real soon. And listen, the one thing we can say about Dusan Vlahovic is he is a confidence player. Once he starts scoring, he will score for 3-4 games in a row. He's an emotional player, you can tell. And like I said in my review, whether or not those 3-4 goals cement Champions League football for Juventus, whether or not those 3-4 goals earn Juventus an extra 5-10 million for Dusan Vlahovic, it's something we should all be in support of. So for me, I felt like he had a very, very, very good game in terms of the chances that he created. In terms of when the ball was fed into him, he was holding it up. He was bringing his teammates into the game. He was selfless. Fair enough, he probably should have scored a goal. But look, You're not going to score every opportunity. At times, you will miss easy opportunities, but it's all about being in the right place at the right time. He's beginning to get opportunities. He's beginning to be fed the ball in dangerous areas. But on top of everything, when he does get the ball, he's not isolated. He's got players moving in and around him. Koopmeiners making the run. Kenan Yildiz asking for the cutback. Listen, Dusan Vlahovic feeling himself. And for me, I say it's a good performance against Lecce. Now, the second player, Kenan Yildiz. Now, I've spent this whole season singing Kenan Yildiz's praise. One of my favourite players at Juventus. Like, when I read the reports that Juventus are thinking of selling Kenan Yildiz if the price is right, ludicrous. You don't sell your best of assets. You know what you do? You don't sell your best of assets. You build around them. Kenan Yildiz, listen, the kid's got the number 10 on his shirt. The pressure of wearing Del Piero's number. The pressure, the demands. Like, I feel like Juventus fans, when they look at him, age is just a number. If you're good enough, you're old enough. You need to step up to the plate. And I feel like this kid, this season, we've seen the good, we've seen the bad, we've seen the mediocre, but similar to Dusan Vlahovic. Towards the end of Thiago Motta's reign, you could see the confidence was sucked out of him. But now, this kid looks fearless. Now, this kid looks like he just wants to go out there, entertain, score goals, create opportunities, get stuck in. He looks similar to Dusan Vlahovic, like a player that's beginning to enjoy his football. And the beautiful thing about it is the fact that it's now, 2 goals under Igor Tudor. Tudors had 3 games. Kenan Yildiz has already scored twice. And he's offering so much more. Like, if we were just to look at his numbers against Lecce, 1 goal, 88% pass accuracy, and 7 key passes. That's 7 opportunities that he's creating. That's 7 opportunities where he's gotten the ball to his teammates in dangerous areas where they can have a strike on goal. That is what you want from one of your attacking players. He can score goals. He can create opportunities. He gets stuck in. He helps you retain the ball. He helps you sustain pressure. He presses. He fights hard. This is what you want. Kid's 19. And I feel like he's learned a lot this season. And for him to have an amazing end to the season, it will give him that boost going into next season, which is in my first season at Juventus, where I am a regular and I am starting week in, week out. I grew, I developed, I gained the necessary experience, and next season will be the season where I destroy everybody. So, Kenan Yildiz for me, solid game against Lecce. And the third player, Manuel Locatelli. Now, I've spoken about Locatelli a lot on my channel this season, and the one thing that I've seen is he's not a fan favourite. Some like him, some don't. Some feel like he needs to be moved on. Manuel Locatelli, like, the hype, the promise, the ability was always there ever since Italy won the Euros. Like, for me, watching him there, I was like, this is a player that's got a good future ahead of him. Like, to be a regista in the modern game that can dictate the way Locatelli does, it's so impressive. And listen, football, it's a game of preferences. Some people like these things, some people don't. Me, personally, I love a player that can play football. A player where when you give him the ball, you know 9 times out of 10, he will take care of it and he will progress it. Manuel Locatelli, fair enough, some might say it's against Lecce, easy opposition. They don't really press and this and that. But guys, I've seen Juventus this season against teams in the bottom half and they've struggled. Manuel Locatelli, he put on the perfect regista performance. Every single time one of his teammates was in trouble, he looked at them and he said, give it to me. Don't worry. I'm here to help you. And he always helped the team. From his ball progression, from his dictating, from his communication. You could see he's constantly telling them, track back, push forwards, tuck inside, squeeze! All of those things, yeah. Manuel Locatelli, solid performance. You want to look at his numbers? 117 passes out of 128 with a 91% pass accuracy. 11 out of 15 long balls. 8 out of 15 duels won. 5 tackles. 10 defensive actions. Guys, 117 passes. That's a regista. That's a dictator of tempo. That's a dictator of play. That is a player comfortable in possession. It was a lovely performance, and I'll be honest with you guys, for me, he's been the most consistent performer this season. Even in Thiago Motta's worst of moments, I still looked at Locatelli and said, you've done well in terms of what your duties are on the pitch, and fair enough. I've said this before. At times, he hasn't really carried himself as one of the best of captains. Like, he's rash, he's giving away penalties and this and that. Listen, no captain is perfect. No manager is perfect. No board member is perfect. No player is perfect. There's good days, there's bad days. You take the good with the bad. And Manuel Locatelli, the one thing that we should all agree on is that at the moment, he's offering more good than bad. And you're beginning to see growth. You're beginning to see development. You're beginning to see that charisma. And listen, the one thing I love about Locatelli is the way he speaks after a game. You could see he cares about Juventus. You could see he cares about winning. He cares about his teammates. He carries himself like a leader. And I feel like that's the main reason why he's the captain. But it was a lovely, lovely, lovely performance by him. Now, who didn't do as well? Now, fair enough, Lecce didn't really offer much of a bite. But there was just one player for me that stood out. And I was like, it's really not looking like good business. And it's Lloyd Kelly. Now, I feel like against Genoa, he actually had a good game, Lloyd Kelly. My biggest concern with Lloyd Kelly is, one, his ability to play football on the ground. So look for those teammates. If you do get pressed, remain calm, have the composure, scan, and then execute the correct pass. When he gets pressed, he tends to lose the ball. And why this is a problem? Teams, especially the best of teams, they look for weaknesses in the opposition. Lloyd Kelly is a weakness. If you press him, he will give you the ball. He will either kick it out of play. He will either make the wrong pass. He will either crumble. And I feel like long term, having a player that's a liability in possession is not good for Juventus. But secondly, I feel like defensively, he does get the beating of. And me, from now up until the end of the season, I keep telling myself, stop looking at him and thinking this was crazy business by Gintuli, and stop judging him by that. He's got nothing to do with the deal that Gintuli agreed. He was just told, you are going to Juventus. Don't worry about how much and this and that. But I just look at it and tell myself, the Serie A is such a tactical league. The Serie A, it's a very physical league. The Serie A, the pressure, the demands of Juventus, you need to be able to step up and hit the ground running. And I don't feel like he's done so, similar to a Renato Vega. And Vega, he's got more attributes in his locker book. Like, Vega can play football. Vega wins his duels. Vega is tenacious, aggressive. Vega can step up, carry into midfield. These are all attributes that Lloyd Kelly doesn't have. And fair enough, not every centre-half will have them. But if you don't have all of these attributes, the one thing you should have in your locker book is that defensive acumen where you can sniff fire, you can put it out on a consistent basis. And for me, Lloyd Kelly, as much as I feel like he's doing better in the back three system, I just look at him and tell myself, at best, you will be a rotational piece for Supercoppa, for Coppa Italia. I don't think he has the pedigree or the ability to be a consistent starter. And I genuinely would not be surprised to see him moved on from Juventus. I don't know, can they sell him in the summer? If not, maybe 6 months, 12 months later. But for me, everyone impressed against Lecce. Everybody had mediocre/good games. I'd say he had a below average performance. Now, I would love to hear you guys' opinions in the comments. And I will catch you guys on another one.